Welcome to Oaa Now, your home for Oakland Activities Association news and information. Here's your host, Sammy Taramina.
Welcome to Oaa Now on Sammy Taramina, blog of the Dragons Den, blog of Inside the OAA, and one of the hosts, Queen Taramina's on Orion Neighborhood Television. I'd like to also welcome our friends watching on YouTube and, of course, also on ONTV. Got Ian Locke this week here again.
Yeah, Happy New Year,
Happy
Sam.
New Year to you. Yes, Happy New Year. We did have another show on the 4th of January.
Yeah, but it's still feeling like the new year, but it
feels
feels
like
like spring.
Yeah, don't give your hopes up on that. But
yeah, I know.
Yeah, don't give your hopes up. I mean, we got a lot to talk about, of course. I want to talk, we're going to talk about the Kithier situation. I mean, of course, they do have a court hearing set for 2 p.m. Thursday, of course. We will have...
That'll be Thursday the 11th.
Thursday the 11th.
Yep.
We will have coverage on that. You can follow the blog at Termina at blogspot.com. And also on next week's podcast, we'll talk about more in depth around the Kithier situation. Also, we got to talk about what is wrong with Lake Orion Girls basketball. And of course, what is going on in the world of boys basketball. Of course, when you look at what's going on surrounding the... and, of course, and also a lot of the teams surrounding the area. So let's talk about our main story, of course. This has been for 5 straight weeks now.
5 weeks.
We talked about this. It's the Thomas Kithier story. It has just gotten like, it's like a soap opera, like a Chinese soap opera. Seriously.
I don't know if I've ever seen a Chinese soap opera, but yes, it is a soap opera. And the crazy thing is things keep changing. Like, it keeps elevating and escalating
and blowing.
It's like a big balloon that's just, you're waiting for it to pop, and it just keeps going.
It could happen on Thursday afternoon. I mean, when you look at, of course, now, of course, it was an interesting story in the Detroit News released. They said that now the state house is even considering this, and it's gonna really, and this is what they said this is in the Detroit News.
Okay.
They said that the lawmakers in Lansing on Thursday, the Michigan Education Reform Committee will take up a bill related to the Kithier controversy.
That soon?
That would prohibit
a
school district from stopping a student from participating in athletic activities due to a transfer, regardless of the reason of the transfer.
Oh, boy. So they just undercut the MHSAA. They cut their knees off.
They would cut the knees off, literally. I mean, because, the state funds the MHSAA, you know what I mean? Do they?
Does it? No, they're a nonprofit.
No, they're nonprofit.
MHSAA has no affiliation with the state of Michigan.
That means now that, by the looks of it, the Wild Wild West is now open. They opened it up. I mean, if they consider it, you know what I mean? The Wild Wild West is opened.
Yeah. To get politicians involved and for them to move this quickly.
Yeah.
Politicians don't move fast.
No.
But to have them, wow. So you previewed that for me before we went on the air, and I didn't get that middle.
That's what it said.
They are going to review it right away.
They're going to review it right away. They're going to consider it, and
so here's what could happen with that, dude. So if they, let's say it's an emergency, right? Does it sound like it? And they propose a bill.
Correct.
They could all intents and purposes have this thing ready to go like next week.
Right.
And let's say the court goes against goes against Kithier.
Yeah.
Do you think, or they might say, hey, we're waiting on a decision. The state could, in all intents and purposes, pass this thing.
They could pass
and then
this
he can
thing,
immediately play.
and they can immediately play.
Regardless of what's happening in the court.
This is perhaps the most
craziest,
and I call this a soap opera because the Kithier family took this to federal court in Detroit.
Yeah.
I mean, and you look at this, now the state's considering taking action on this. Now, they said
that is amazing.
That's just a Clarkson superintendent, Rob Rock, is expected to testify during the legislative hearing, along with the guy who was sponsoring the bill, Representative Jim Tedder of Clarkston.
Yes.
And they said, quote, it's not clear if they will vote on this proposal.
And Tedder has pretty tight ties to the school district. I believe he was on the school board. I don't want to speak out of turn, but I have a feeling he had his fingers on the school board at one point. But Clarkson went right to the representative and say, "Hey,
correct.
This is messed up."
Right.
Oh my. I should have seen that time.
This is now gotten to a point, literally, of no return. Because look at what this case has created. This is insane.
Yeah.
Because all this for a highly rated prospect to play basketball.
In high school. High school basketball. Yeah.
All this.
All these adults. Arguing with one another.
Uh-huh. Arguing one another. And what am if I'm Jack Roberts, if I'm Todd Rashad, and I'm hearing this, what are you thinking?
I don't know. I don't want to say necessarily concerned, but if the state gets involved and I would be more like, what's happening at the MHSAA? Mm-hmm. If they're sitting around going, okay, the state's getting involved and they're going to allow us to have no say in this, and it's going to be, like you said, the Wild West.
Yeah.
Boom. Then it will simplify things. You just transfer, but then are you going to see the whole point of this was are we going to worry about mega teams now?
I think that's what.
Don't you think that opens it up to mega teams?
It's opening up to mega teams because when you look at it, you look in football, you look at your mega teams.
You're already getting that.
Look at Detroit Cast Tech, real perfect example of that.
Yep.
I mean, I'm not a huge fan of that. I mean, West Bloomfield, they became a mega team, with their transfers. I mean, Clarkston, we know about their boys basketball program. Basically, you're seeing all these mega teams, and now you got to question competitive balance.
Well, that's a very good point, and you're seeing it on some levels that you have. It's almost like SEC and everybody else on the college side.
That's what it is. I mean, right? you look at
loaded and pretenders.
But when you look at, I'm going to use Clarkson for example. They played Troy on Tuesday night. Almost lost.
Really?
By 5, 59-54. I mean, Foster Lawyer had 44 of Clarkson's 59 points.
Where's the rest of the team?
Because Troy's a pretty good team.
Wow.
Troy's a very good team.
But they couldn't stop Lawyer.
Oh,
my.
And Troy was without one of their top players in Jason Dietz, who did not play because of injury.
Okay.
So
you're saying even a loaded team can lose?
Yeah, even a loaded team can lose. Ask East English Village Prep that question to class.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, but back to Kithier.
Yeah.
This is, if he is allowed to play.
I think he's going to be allowed to play.
Could you imagine what Clarkson's going to do to everybody? They're going to take their anger out.
You think so?
It wouldn't surprise me.
They're still high school kids, though,
I get that, but, when you add Kithier to that team, Kithier's going to probably spell Tristan Meissen at the 4 spot, basically.
Yeah.
He's probably going to be sitting out. Then you have mega teams. Then you're going to have a team that's literally maybe even better than last year's Clarkson team.
Yeah. Well, that was
the true point of getting Kithier on the floor in the first place.
Exactly. Yes.
Because everybody at Clarkson dreamed, to create this mega team. Now, I don't like how Clarkson's developed this mega team.
Yeah. You mentioned that before, knocking local kids who've been getting developed through the system.
Right. And right now, when you look at it, where are the local kids right now at Clarkson?
Yeah.
Where are they at? And I know Dan Fife, is very much a very important on developing local athletes, what I mean, in Clarkson. But you're seeing these kids transfer in, you know what I mean? It's kind of like buddy to buddy thing.
Yeah.
It's like a buddy system.
Yeah. It is. I mean,
it is.
Especially, and
Kithier wants to be part of that because of his friendship and his teammates with Lawyer and Curie.
And you look at the influence of the AAU on all of this, right? You think you see national headlines about the AAU influence on the college game and money and all that stuff, shady recruiting. It's now creeping into the high school. It's starting to creep in a little bit into the high school game.
Isn't that
crazy?
It's crazy. It's insane. I mean, you look at what is going on with these kids. I'm going to use former Saginaw at the Hill standout, Bruce Bowen.
Okay.
He was at Louisville.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Of course, he
just got reinstated.
He got reinstated. Yeah. Now he's at South Carolina. He's going to have to sit out 2 semesters.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So I'm basically thinking is if you want a system with, you could say, okay, you can transfer.
Yeah. But
you're going to have to sit out a full year. I mean,
but we don't know what the language of the state, right? But they're going to say that as soon as you transfer, it doesn't matter why.
It doesn't matter why.
And you can play. There has to be some sort of sitting out period.
There has to be because, it's like free agency.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like free agency in the sports.
I almost just said that.
Free agency.
Yeah, it's
because you look at it from a sports perspective.
Yeah.
You can go out there and get yourself a free agent and all that. They're viewing athletic directors probably as general managers right now.
Yes. Well, it could develop into that. Or you have the head coaches or the GMs assembling teams. Now, you still can't recruit.
No, you can't recruit. But
how far away is that?
But,
Yeah, here, Sammy, I'm doing the flying quotations. You can't recruit.
But, still.
But it happens. I mean, we saw it in Waterford, right?
Yeah, we saw it Waterford Mount. We saw Adam. West Blooming just got a lot of transfers going in there. We know about Detroit Cass Tech. They are not they don't develop their own kids
community
over there.
Team, yeah.
They don't develop their own community team. You look at the youth kids down there in Detroit. Where are they at?
Yeah.
Where are they at?
And that's the whole point of having your community high school team, right? Is the community kids are playing and
the community kids
I guess
are
winning
is high school.
Yeah.
And it's right now. I view the state of Michigan right now as, looking at it, and you look at some of these teams, you know what I mean? Now, for illegal recruiting, you know what I mean? For illegal recruiting, and especially in college sports, you know what I mean? Especially college football, college basketball. I know Kentucky got hit with the death penalty. SMU, we know about them.
Yeah. Which that'll never happen again.
No.
I thought Louisville would get it.
I thought Miami would got it.
Miami, yeah. I mean, blatant.
Yeah.
Nope, too big.
Yeah. But instead,
But is that trickling? I mean,
I think it's trickling
when the state starts getting involved.
When the state's starting to get involved, what I think the MHSAA needs personally? A college system.
You think so?
Because I think personally, you need a repeat violators law personally. I mean, and what happened to SMU, what happened to and I think that would be really interesting if a team gets hit with the death penalty in college sport. I mean, in high school sports.
High school? See, that
I don't know if it's been done in history.
I don't know if you could do death penalty because even if you look back at the SMU stuff, people are commenting. I mean, now you can look back in hindsight and say, maybe that was too harsh. But SMU is such a unique circumstance where they blatantly on the second time around said, we're going to do what we want to in the open. They didn't even care. So go ahead. Go ahead. And they threatened them and it happened. Still, but nobody else has become
with the state getting involved. What does it say for the MHSAA?
I could say I see where you're going with the. Do you have a punishment? For repeat offenders.
I think
I think there should be a punishment. The coaches, there's coaching bans, right? There's in the NCAA side, right? You can be prohibited from. I mean, Tressel ran into that, right? On the football.
When he was at Ohio State.
Yeah. So I don't see why you couldn't have that, because ultimately who's running the show, or the AD can be suspended,
possible.
that sort of thing.
But still, I'm saying to you is, you look at these teams, you look at these teams, who get recruits, and basically, who get these transfers, what I mean? They use the word academically motivated. They use academics as the reason why they're going.
Yeah.
And Fishman said in his new report, he said, quote, and we talked about this, was those students, actually, he said, defendants have sent a very loud message to children throughout the state. If you wish to pursue a better academic future for yourself, you do so at the jeopardy of your ability to participate in extracurricular activities. These are other students. There are other students watching this case.
Yeah.
So we know that.
We do.
We do.
And coming from their Kithier's lawyer,
yes,
it still goes back to what I think you were saying 3 shows ago.
Yeah.
You can call it academically motivated because that's the tagline. That's the headline that everybody has to use.
Yes, has to use.
Though we know the underlying
and Nick
reason
McKay says,
is not.
Nick McKay, said this. And all transfers are athletically
yes, and
motivated.
I completely agree.
I think there's some that are academically motivated, but most of them, I would say maybe nearly half of them, are athletically motivated.
I'd say more than half.
But, and another interesting thing he said, quote, those students may be in inferior schools and may wish to seek a better future themselves, as Thomas did. If those students continue to see that the direction to transfer will necessitate giving up the right to participate in activities with their classmates, they will only be dissuaded and act in their best interest.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting one.
They think it'll make you think twice about leaving because, I can't do, but he's painting a broad brush on extracurricular activities. This is specific basketball.
Yeah, this is sports in general.
Sports, yes. And there's specific things for their case that they're trying to throw the net out a little bit wider than I think they have reason to do so. But it helps perpetuate their argument that they're in the right. But it still comes down to that links rule.
Yeah.
There's a rule.
There's a rule. On their link.
Did the MHSAA in Dakota collude? Possibly. Do they have emails and texts? I mean, they inferred that they had evidence that possibly that happened. That is a problem. Mm-hmm. But to say, hey, it's like the argument they had, I'm going to be a theater kid. I'm not going to transfer because I happen to play soccer.
Right.
And, by the way, I'm in theater. Like you said, a good argument. He could have come to Lake Orion.
Mm-hmm.
Nope. If it's not athletically motivated, why not come to a different school? Why Clarkston? They had it.
I mean, when
it's
you look
athletics.
When you look at Clarkston, they're very successful.
Yes.
They're a very successful institution. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But there's other schools that are very successful.
Yes, exactly.
That the family could have chose, but they decided to choose Clarkson.
See, and that's my point.
Mm-hmm.
Is you can claim, hey, you're keeping me from I just happened to play basketball and I wanted a better academic chance. So since I play basketball, you're punishing me or whatever.
But if I'm a player, but let's say, for example, if I'm a player, you know what I mean? And I want to go to a school that has a struggling basketball team, and go for academic reasons, I don't have an issue with that. Because you have a chance. You want to be a star yourself, you know what I mean? You want to be the man, you want to be the person that can be the person that leads a team from rags to riches, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have a problem with that. The issue here is mega teams.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to.
Yes.
And that's why, let's say if Kithier would have went to like Utica High or Utica Eisenhower High, or maybe even, or some of the teams in the OAA, like let's say if he went to like a Troy,
Good academics.
Good
Troy,
academic school,
fantastic.
you know what I
academic.
mean?
Yeah.
Good academic school, you know what I mean? Like,
We wouldn't even be sitting
we
here.
wouldn't even be sitting here talking about this.
We would be reading scores.
No, we wouldn't even be talking about this. I mean,
Crazy.
This is how, and I call this the Chinese soap opera because
Yeah.
it literally divided the media basically from within two, because you got people taking Kithier's side,
Yeah.
you got people taking the MHSAA side,
Yeah.
and now you have the state getting involved in this, and
As they say, that escalated quickly.
People ask me this. Was this a long time coming?
It's feeling like it, doesn't it?
It feels like it.
Doesn't it? It does.
But the issue that I have here is, how do you know it's academics? How do you know it's academically? How do you know it's? I mean, like, how do you know?
Yeah.
It's.
Yeah, well, that's how do you prove it? Yeah. That's an excellent point.
Mm-hmm.
Besides saying, and that was the other thing that was, I think I read it in between shows,
Mm-hmm.
is that I guess Kithier's mom is
Jane.
in education.
Yeah, she's in education.
And you hear the arguments of why they
Works
want
at Growth Point.
Okay. Another excellent education, like a high academic school district. Could have gone there.
I asked myself this,
Usually,
if she would have went to Growth Point North, if he would have went to Growth Point North, I wouldn't have a problem with it.
yeah. Well, I don't think
wouldn't.
the MHSAA wouldn't either.
MHSAA wouldn't either.
Or do you think Dakota would have signed off or wouldn't have signed off on it?
Well, Dakota's in the MAC. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Growth Point North, Growth Point South, both in the MAC. You know what I mean?
So
they're not in the same. They're not in the same division. So
Okay.
I think it would have signed off on it. But this is an issue where basically the state's saying, screw everything, let the kid go, let the kid play. That's what it is.
That's exactly what it is, Sam.
That's what it is.
Yeah. I mean, reading that and until they have the fine print in it, they're going to have some fine print in it.
They got to have some.
But they are. That's a what do you call it? They're raising the flag on the MHSAA that says, "Hey, get your act together. You better get your act together.
Get your act together. We're going to change, or we're going to clean some house." Because
exactly.
And I've been saying this for a long time. The MHSAA needs to clean house a little bit because they have not been consistent with their rules. They have been very selective on their cases. They've let a team like Detroit Cats Tech to become a mega team, and they're basically singling out Kithier here.
Yeah.
The reason why they're singling him out is because he's got a D1 scholarship to Michigan State. That's why.
But then again, you go, is it deeper than that? Clean
deeper?
house, sure, yeah. But is there collusion between the school that's been harmed and the organization that's supposed to oversee it?
That's the question the Kithier family has to prove in court.
Yes.
Because,
I can't wait to see, like we were talking before, I think it was last week, going, who's going to testify?
Yeah.
And how interesting is this going to be? It's going to be so interesting to see what the defendants are going to say.
Mm-hmm.
You know
who I'm curious to see? Paul Taco take a stand.
Does he have to, though?
He's the coach at Macomb, Dakota, who Kithier is accusing of harassment.
Yes, but there was a statement that said he might not have to, or he won't, but the AD and the admin will, because ultimately the paperwork went through them. Yeah.
Paperwork through them.
And he wasn't listed in the lawsuit.
It was surprising. I was very surprised he wasn't listed in that lawsuit. I mean, I thought he would be listed in that lawsuit personally, as his, as the head coach. You know what I mean?
So the date of this recording is the 11th, right?
Correct.
So for us, it is today that this discussion is going to take place. What time on the 11th?
2:00.
2:00. So what time is it? I mean, I'm excited to see what happens. Right now, it is
almost noon.
Quarter to 12
noon,
here when we record this. So
You could keep an eye on the
It's
blog.
like on the edge of your seat type of programming, dude.
You can keep an eye on the blog at Sammy_Tierman@blogspot.com. Also on the blog, also on the podcast. When we do our we do the pod coming up next week, we will go more into details surrounding this. But
let me throw something at you. Were you going to wrap?
No, you go ahead.
Okay. I have the thing that keeps popping in my head, and it goes back to something you said earlier about Clarkston just squeaking out a win against Troy. Could he be a detriment to the team? Throwing him on there. Could he? Does the team have
chemistry?
a rhythm? Yeah. Does the team have a rhythm going already? I know he's practicing with them, right?
He's practicing
but
with
do
them.
you think, because sometimes you change one of the the
that's
cause.
the question that I've been thinking myself.
Could
could
it blow up in a negative way?
Does Kithier make Clarkson better? Absolutely he does. But you are right. I think this could.
Because now there's pressure on Kithier to perform this big old hubbub.
Right. And if Clarkson loses with Kithier, if they lose especially in the playoffs, because I think they're going to make a deep playoff run.
Okay.
If they lose, and there's a lot of traps in there, because considering you have Troy in there, and I think Troy,
maybe they figured him out.
It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me, and I think I can make a bold statement on this. It wouldn't surprise me if Troy goes into Clarkston and beats him.
Sammy, hot take.
It wouldn't surprise me because
Nice.
Troy did not have Jason Dietz in that game, and if Clarkson has Thomas Kithier,
Yeah.
Clarkson's already got a big problem, and that is who Lawyer's guarding, because Leon Ayers, had a big game. Now, Lawyer at 44. But
crazy scoring, but defensive liability.
But Lawyer is a defensive liability. He really is. Their best defender, I'm not knocking anybody here on Clarkson, but I think Clarkson's best defender is C.J. Robinson. I think it's C.J. Robinson. People say it's Kip Wells. People are saying it's Wells, but I think it's C.J. Robinson.
I just see adding, there's a potential that,
it could blow up.
He
you
plays.
Are right.
It doesn't mean that they're going to roll through everybody.
You are right, and Hazel Park, let's not forget, beat East English Village Prep.
Okay.
And Hazel Park has to play Clarkson twice. So that could be, and Hazel Park's a senior heavy team. Hazel Park will give Clarkson some fits.
Okay.
They will give him fits, but the question's going to be...
We'll keep an eye on those games.
We'll keep an eye on those games for sure. But Hazel Park's another team.
And is Clarkson still sitting at the top of the standings?
No.
In the division?
No.
Who is?
Hazel Park. Hazel Park right now. Yeah, they're tied for first, but...
Okay.
They're tied for first, but Hazel Park right now, they're undefeated right now. So basically...
Wow. Still.
Yep, but Clarkson's got that one loss, East English. Hazel Park's played a vicious schedule. Let's not forget they played all those Detroit teams and got a big win against Detroit University Detroit Jesuit.
Yep.
So that was a huge win for them.
So we'll have to mark the calendar for those two matchups because that could determine the whole thing.
And of course, let's not forget you can't count Troy, can't count West Bluefield. Yeah. Those teams you really can't.
Competitive division for sure.
I think when you look at boys basketball in general, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That whole boys basketball as a whole, very competitive. When you look at all three divisions.
Yeah.
When you look at the red division, you got Clarkson, you got West Bluefield, you got Troy, you got and then of course you got Hazel Park. You know what I mean? Those four teams, they could really much do some damage in that division. And then you look at the white, you got Oak Park, Adams. Adams off to a nice start. I think they're 5-1.
Nice.
They lost their first game to Oak Park by 3. And then, of course, when you look at the blue, and then you got Stony Creek, Oxford, Avondale in there. And then, of course, you look at
tough teams and, other teams that you might have not.
And then the blue, the blue, I think that's you got Lake Orion, Rochester, Ferndale. Berkeley.
Do you have a favorite in the blue?
In the blue right now? I think
too early to tell.
Well, I think I'm going to be honest with you. I think Lake Orion's the better. I think Lake Orion, will win the blue division. I really do. I just think the Dragons have enough depth and balance. I think Rochester will have a strong say. So will Berkeley. I want to talk about the Berkeley Bears in the next segment.
Okay.
So, now when we come back, we're going to talk a lot of basketball here on Oaa Now.
Please remember that CFL bulbs, those curly, energy-efficient light bulbs everybody is using to save electricity, shouldn't be thrown away in your trash. Neither should batteries or home medical sharps. You can check with your local community to see where they can be recycled. Some retailers will allow you to bring them in for recycling. You can also order simple kits online that allow you to collect your recyclables and simply mail them away to be properly recycled. This green tip was brought to you by your friends at Waste Management. Oakland County is consistently ranked as one of the wealthiest counties in the nation, so it may come as a surprise to many when they find out that hunger is an ever-increasing problem in this area. Oxford Orion Fish Food Pantry does what it can to help battle hunger, but it needs your help. More than 350 individuals depend on the food pantry on a monthly basis, with over 15,000 pounds of food going out the door every month. 145,000 pounds of food helped feed the area's hungry in 2014 alone. The food pantry depends on annual food drives and the generosity of community organizations and businesses to help keep their shelves stocked.
I think we have more peaks than we really do valleys. This year we've been doubly, just very, very fortunate. Our stock has been wonderful. Food drives have been, I think it's like 25,000 pounds of food. We got from one food drive another 20,000. That is a good portion of the food that we put out a year. And then people bring in every day. They will come in with bags of food that they want to donate. And it's just, we couldn't be in a better community, I'll tell you. It's just wonderful.
A single individual is limited to 50 pounds of food each month. A family of 7, 180 pounds. In addition to canned and dry goods, the pantry also needs household items such as soap, shampoo, toothpaste, and laundry detergent. Cash donations allow the pantry to purchase perishable items such as meat, bread, dairy, and fresh fruits and vegetables.
Fruit is more seasonal in the summer, like berries and things like that. But we're trying to give them a fresher, healthier choice. We have frozen chicken breasts, and that's a nice treat once in a while. Roasts and steaks and ground beef and all that stuff. So, and we just buy what we need. We fill in what does not get donated.
There are numerous drop-off locations established throughout the Oxford and Orion area that collect food year-round, such as the Lake Orion Post Office, Hollywood Market, and area churches. For a complete list or for contact information, visit their website at oxfordorionfish.org or give them a call at 248-628-3933.
Welcome back. I'm Sammy Termina here with Ian Locke. Ian, you doing all right?
Doing all right. Segment 2.
Yep. Well, let's go.
That was a good discussion in segment 1. That was fun.
Oh, that was very interesting. But I want to look at a play here. It was during a girls' basketball game. It was, of course, Clarkston. It was a girls' basketball game between Clarkston and Warren Cousino.
On the 5th.
On the 5th of January at Clarkston. I thought got
on the road
at Warren Cousino. Clarkson's Twitter page, your girls basketball Twitter page, sent out a response to a play where they end up losing by 1 point, 58-57.
Little controversy.
There was some controversy here. I'm gonna try to give it to you, Ian, and give you an upload from that and see what you think about it. But I'm going to describe it right now. Warren Cousino has the ball. And Cousino right now is having the ball, take it down, pass was there, ball's going in, and of course, the play, Clarkson's defense was beat. Of course, Luca Back and Nicholson, of course, they're two bigs. Kayla Luca Back going to Oakland next year, and Molly Nicholson. of course, she was the one that's going to commit the foul here. But when you look at the play, it was clearly, I thought personally, was a clean block. But instead, the officials, who are MAC officials, called a foul on Nicholson with almost no time left on the clock, giving the Patriots a 1-point win over the Wolves because she had hit one free throw just to win it.
Calling it a shooting foul.
They called it a shooting foul when I thought personally it should have been a block. You know what I mean? When I look at it. When I look at it on paper, when I look at the film, and I'm looking at it from 3 different angles. I mean, and of course it showed Luka back getting beat badly. Nicholson got beat badly. But Nicholson recovered, with her length and her wingspan and basically got the block. But the official said that her hand basically touched the hand of number 4. So when you look at that one,
on the one angle I saw that you showed me, it almost looked like she was fouled before the shot in a way.
But
because you see, it looked like her arm got tugged, but it was
kind of. But when you look
the blow by.
But when you look at the blow by, you know what I mean. Basically, to me, you know what I mean. I know you thought it was a foul. I didn't think this was a foul. I just didn't think that this was a foul, and it should have went to overtime. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Now overtime, it could have been different.
In any game.
In any game. It
it's
could
a
have
whole
been
new
different.
game.
It's a whole new game when you go to overtime.
Exactly. You have teams with momentum going into the end of regulation that completely lose it because they thought we had it, and then the emotional letdown.
Right. And Warren Cousino was struggling at the time, but then they had their best player, Kate MacArthur, come back.
Okay.
But she fouled out in that game.
Do you have any other details about the game? Like, was Clarkston up most of the game? Was it nip and tuck?
It was nip and
within 2-3 points?
It was within 2-3 points.
The whole game,
MacArthur kept Clarkston in it. Kept Warren Cousino in it. I mean, but Batty Beck played well in that one. Of course, she is their scoring first. She's their scoring first small forward / guard. Very talented player.
Yeah.
But Luka Beck had a nice game, but still, I mean, it was a really well played game between both teams. But that game should not have ended in controversy.
Yeah, and the hard part with that is I always see it as did it really come down to one play? When you see that, and the fans, ultimately the fans are going to go, oh, we got robbed.
But but you should not have put the game in the hands of the officials.
Well, at that point, usually, yes, you got to say, okay, there's under 4 seconds to go. Let's see where this, unless it's completely obvious, like somebody got undercut or they grabbed them intentionally.
Yeah, but when I look at the replay of that game, I mean, I didn't think that I thought it was a clean block by Nicholson. Yeah. I thought Molly Nicholson had it clean, but and then it gives me another question.
Yeah.
Do you think that there should be an OA crew should referee a game in Macomb County and have a Macomb County crew referee a game in Oakland County?
That's a good question. The knowing how difficult it is to find qualified referees in any sport, right? It's difficult. They have a shortage. There's always a shortage. And I don't know if you can. Is there a string of MAC officials that have?
I'll tell you what. There's a string of officials in the Saginaw Valley.
Okay.
Because I thought Saginaw Valley officials. I think they're terrible.
Really?
I think Saginaw Valley officials are terrible.
Well, I mean, but you get that. No matter what sport you've played. I mean, my background, I was a swimmer back in the day.
Yeah.
We've had lousy swimming umps, or refs, and that goes back all to the 80s. You're going to get some good ones. You're going to get some bad ones. But I don't think you can, I'm not saying like you're condemning it, but I can't say you could just wipe out this officiating crew because of this play. I mean, are there other plays that Clarkson could have taken advantage of earlier to take it?
Yeah.
How did they do at the free throw? What was the turnover count? Was it high? Was it low? Was it But I'm stepping away from as a fan. I'm not a fan of either team. So
but still, when I look at
the fans are like,
when I look at the play, when I look at it more
and it's slow motion,
and it's in slow motion. You know what I mean? So you have basically a few angles to figure it out, but still,
you have to still think of the referee at the time the noise in the gym, they're doing the best they can. I would give them the benefit of the doubt trying to do the best they can. I don't think there's anything malicious or intent.
Well, I don't think it was anything malicious or intent, but I think all officials are different. You know what I mean?
True.
You look at OAA refs. You know what I mean? I think they're OAA refs. They're human. You know what I mean? They're human.
They all are.
I think Genesee County's an absolute mess, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah. Well, and not knowing how the whole officiating circle functions, and are they reviewed at the end of the year? And I'm going to step into the college game real quick. TV Ted Valentine. Was it North UNC game? He turned his back on a player, and he was a captain.
Right.
And usually he just said, no call. Can you please give me instruction? And TV Ted just gave him the old TV Ted, I'm on TV. I'm going to give you my attitude and show you my back. Now, do you see? He might be gone. He was removed from all Big Ten games.
Goodness gracious.
They removed him, and he might retire because of this. The outrage. And they were tired of antics by referees. Do you have that in the high school game? Sometimes you have them.
Sometimes you do. Well, you know what?
Sometimes you do.
I had that happen to me in a JV game at Davison on Tuesday.
Oh.
I had that happen to me. I mean.
Share, Sam.
I do book for Lake Orion Girls.
Yes.
As you know. And I'm trying to get an explanation from the ref. You know what I mean? He wouldn't even give me a talk.
Explanation on.
He gave me this. So I was steaming mad.
But you got to get the book right.
Yeah. Gotta get the book right.
And you wear a black and white striped shirt,
well,
correct?
all home official books have to wear it. You know what I mean?
So they know who's,
But I was on the road. You know what I mean? I was the road book.
I got you.
You know what I mean? So
okay.
I think personally that both home and road books have to be in agreement. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't just assume. And you can't assume that the home book is the right book, because when you look at this situation, everybody makes mistakes.
Yes.
Even the home book makes mistakes.
Yep.
I could use the Clarkson Southfield Arts and Tech game. Perfect example.
Error on the scoring?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Error on the scoring. Yep. That's what happened in that game.
Really?
Yep. But either way, both home and road books have to be in agreement. You know what I mean? And I think the officiating crews have to give both sides the benefit of the doubt.
I don't understand waving you off, or I don't understand the attitude that some refs have.
Yeah.
I've seen it at, we've here at ONT, we've covered countless basketball games, right? We've even gone on the road and covered basketball games.
There's some guys that are great people. Great officials. Phenomenal.
Yes, talking to the kids,
they're phenomenal.
They're learning.
But there's some that are just terrible.
They'll tee up the head coach just because, without provocation. But we've seen them. They have attitudes. I got the whistle, you don't. So get out of my way.
But still, you know what I mean? But
we don't want to paint a broad brush. That's not everybody.
That's not everybody. No. I don't.
Believe me, I don't want to put a whistle on.
I know officials who are really good.
Absolutely.
Who are great people, great men, great women, deserve to wear the whistle.
And it's difficult. That's a tough job.
I know it is.
As a spectator, you go, I know the game.
But I'm saying, you know what I mean? There's some
the whistle on, it's a completely different ballgame.
There's some that wear the whistle, but there's others that
wear the cape with the whistle.
Oh.
They got their own cape.
I know. And then let's look at I want to look at another team. I want to look at Lake Orion.
Yes.
They're 3-6.
The Lady Dragons.
Lady Dragons. Yep. They got 2, and of course they lost Cam McCulture to an injury. Out for the year. Then they lose their best big and Kenna Robinson, who's out 4 to 8 weeks with the calf.
Yeah, the injuries.
I mean, when you look at Lake Orion, there were a lot of high expectations. You know what I mean, for this team. I mean, they have first year coach in Mike Griffin.
Yep. Transition year.
I mean, going from the boys' game to the girls' game. Basically, I got a question to ask you. Do you think a boy system can work in the girls' game?
Well, one, what are the differences? Because
a lot differences. Because one, you know what I mean. When you look at personnel, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You look at the personnel of your team. I mean, look at Lake Orion. You know what I mean.
Okay.
Now you're down. You basically have literally like one 3-year starter on that team, and that's Soapy Wyborski.
Yeah.
And now you're basically down. You got a lot of youth on that team.
Okay.
But still, you got experience on this team.
Yeah,
but I'm saying to you is personally,
because when you ask about the guys' game or the girls'
guys' game's a lot faster.
Yeah, yes, that is true. And a lot of times in the girls' game, you see more. If you have a couple shooters, they're just chucking threes quite a bit. But if you have one capable big, they dump it inside all day long because it's tough to match up with a solid big in the girls' game.
Right, it's tough. But I'm saying to you is, I'm just saying.
Are you saying the system's not matching the personnel that they have?
I really, to be honest with you, I just don't think the system matches up well with this group. And it's when you look at the system of choice. I mean, the system of play that has to be, you know, when you look at the problems that this team's had. And there were 3 games I thought personally they could have won.
Mm-hmm.
There were 3. Game.
Well, what's the trend? So Holly,
Adams, Romeo, and Davis.
4 games.
4 games.
Okay. So, and what was the trend? Is it the offensive set? Is it defensive?
Their problem. Their problem is the third quarter. You know.
Oh.
Well, you and I both.
Is it conditioned?
You and I both know when you play a 2-3. You know, when you play basically a 2-3 zone.
Yeah.
What is the most vulnerable spots in a 2-3 zone? Always.
Free throw line.
Free throw line and?
Outside, not covering?
Outside 3-point shooting.
Yeah.
You know, outside 3-point shooting. You know? That's been the problem with this team.
So they're giving up a lot of outside buckets.
Outside buckets, you know?
Well, sometimes you say, I guess it depends on the shooter. I mean, was it Holly you said?
Holly, of course, he had Becca Fugate.
Yeah, I mean, like a crazy shooter, right?
Yeah, she had 20 points in that game.
So that's I just say that could be an anomaly.
But when you look at it from a personnel standpoint,
yeah,
every basketball person knows, you know, there are games you can play at 2-3.
Mm-hmm.
There are games. But when you need to play a man, when you need to play a different type of defense, and I think personally, you know, a lot of people ask me this is, do I think personally, you know, right now, I don't think that the personnel matches up to the system right now. And it's not good. You know, and when you look at you look at a program that's really been suffering, going through a lot the last 3 years, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's sad.
It's sad, and I mean,
it's sad and frustrating.
And don't get me wrong, it's difficult me to heap criticism unless there's blatant stuff going on, like the coach or, you know, not playing kids, and it gets like this personal thing or whatever. You know, you run into that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the injuries, like you said, I mean,
the injuries have really hurt.
It can be
team.
really, and
the injuries have really hurt Lake Orion.
Yes, and
really,
especially with the big going down,
mm-hmm.
and something we've talked about them in the past couple weeks, or maybe the start of the season was, do they have a leader? Who's the leader? Who's the one that's going to charge them?
The question.
That floor general to rally that team, and we were asking the question: is somebody going to step up and rally the team, or are they going to fold? Have they folded? I don't think they folded yet because they're all competitors. They're all athletes.
Right. They're all
going to give the best they can. We know that.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, the relationship between coach and players, I don't know enough about their chemistry that way, or the relationships. We're hoping that it's strong, and there's, you know, still, you know, fighting out there.
Another question to you.
Yeah.
Do you think Lake Orion was ready to go with the red? Do you think they were ready to go with the red?
No, not because of the struggles they've had over the last couple of years. I'm surprised that they're there.
when you look at when you're
And how did they determine that? They won a couple games over, was it between 1 or 2 wins against, who got bumped down and who got bumped up?
Well, when you look at the teams that are playing well right now in the white, you look at Royal Oak, you look at Groves. Those two teams are playing really well right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at, everybody, I think personally what should have happened, it was Royal Oak should have been up in the red this year because of who they got back. Groves, Lake Orion should not have been in the red to begin with in the first place because, you're going through a coaching change, you're going through a transition, but you got to also assume, if you have players that are coming back, if they're not going to come back and play, you got to
Which happened. They
yeah.
lost a player to transfer.
They lost a couple. Yep. And then of course you got to look at, from this angle is, injuries happen.
Mm-hmm.
Injuries happen.
And they can decimate your season.
That's what's going on right now with this team. Like you and me both agree, Lake Orion should not be in the red division.
I don't think so.
No, they shouldn't. No. Because
they've been limping along the last 3 years. They've been
struggling.
Yeah.
Three different coaches.
What was the record last year?
They were 8-13 last year. And now they're out to a 3-6 start. You know what I mean? And it's not getting any easier. Can
they pull off 6 wins and improve upon last year?
That's the question. I don't know. That's the question. Now you basically turn yourself from a contending team possibly to a very young team real fast.
Yeah.
And right now, the mindset of this team appears to be shot. It appears to be shot.
It can bring down morale. The injuries and that sort of thing, or you had expectations and go, oh, that dreaded word again, the T word, transfers. You lose some transfers and, we got another coach. It's just, I think it's piling up a little bit.
It's starting to pile up a little bit. I think the frustration's really getting to them. When you look at, and I look at other teams around the area, you look at that have been struggling, but they've been riding the course very well, and it's Stony Creek. You know what I mean? Stony Creek's a team that's been struggling, but they have managed to right the ship a little bit. You know what I mean? I like how that direction that team's going.
Yeah.
What's
the schedule looking like for the Lady Dragons coming up?
They got to play Clarkston.
Yeah.
They got Oxford on Monday.
Oxford's
Monday.
no slouch.
Nope. And they've been playing well.
Yep.
And then you got to play Southfield on that Thursday.
The next 3 is a brutal 3.
It's tough. The red division's a tough league.
Well, as someone who has coached years and years ago, you look for the positives, right? You're always looking for the positives. Where can you improve? You almost break it down into these micro elements and say, okay, you're not going to see big changes, right? You might not win for a while, but if you can at least find some positives, you have individual goals for each player on that team, and then you have the collective goal, cut down turnovers. We're going to cut down on the easy buckets. That sort of thing.
That's the question I have.
That's almost where you're at.
That's the big concern. That's the question I have. And I personally, when I look at that team, they weren't ready for this division. They're not.
But hey, you're here. Face a little adversity sometimes, and it builds character. I've been on teams that have won nothing, and then been on teams that have won almost everything. And the one thing is, like, when you're losing, you have 1 or 2 ways to go. I'm going to get angry and work harder, or I'm just going to mail it and pack it in and walk away.
Yeah, somebody's got to step up on that team if they have any chance to get this thing fixed. You know what I mean? Because the injuries to Cameron Coltrane, the injuries to, of course, Kendall Robinson. And those are 2 big losses right there.
Huge.
And they're gigantic losses.
They were recently?
They were the Noose injury. The injury to Robinson happened against Davison.
Okay.
And of course that was recent. And then the injury to Coltrane was a couple weeks ago against Seaholm.
Okay.
So
Yeah, that was a pretty bad one, too.
That was
ACL. Right off the court bad.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I mean.
Well, yeah, you can't, as a fan of the Dragons, we live in Lake Orion here. We root them on. We can only wish them the best and hope that they're in good hands with their coach, and they try to right this ship the best they can. But it comes down.
It's not going to be an easy ride.
But it comes down to the individuals.
Right.
How are you going to respond? And, they got a couple weeks to do so and try to salvage the season and come away with some positives rolling into
we'll see what happens. You know what I mean? But I think, I'm just being honest with you. I just don't think,
I hear you.
Right now the boys system works in the girls game. It really doesn't,
Okay.
Speaking of boys basketball, you know what I mean? Let's talk about, we got a team to talk about. I think it's really been a surprise.
Yep.
The Berkeley Bears.
Berkeley.
They're 7-0 for the first time since 1984.
Unbelievable.
Yep. Joe Sermo's team. Rolling right now. Do you think it lasts? Because I know they still got Rochester, Lake Orion, and Ferndale on the schedule.
Why not? Why not? This could be the year. Why not?
Their district's difficult, though. You know that.
Well, the district, but we're talking league, right?
But they got those three teams lurking.
Sure.
Which I think those are going to be losses.
Well, it could be. Are they have Lake Orion at home or away?
Well, they got to play Lake Orion at home, and then they got to play Rochester at home, but then they got to go to Lake Orion, Berkeley.
Okay, so they haven't played the meat of their schedule. They haven't played the meat of their schedule
yet, so that's going to be really interesting.
Maybe, and we've seen it. You come into Lake Orion, into the field house, no easy feats.
Nope.
But that's a tough environment. You got the fans on top of you. That's been packed, energetic. They got a pep band rolling now. It's just noisy environment. It's really cool.
It's going to be very interesting.
Tough, yes.
But Rochester's no easy place.
I'm a fan of Berkeley. Let's go 7-0.
No easy place.
No.
Not even Ferndale is an easy place to play.
No.
So,
but go Berkeley, man. 7-0 rolling.
Joe Sermo's got the team rolling right now.
Awesome.
So we'll see what happens going forward. Yep. My final thoughts. We'll see what happens going forward.
It's exciting. Every week talking about these things, you're like, man, there's something to watch. There's something to see, something to talk about. Exciting.
We'll keep an eye on the Thomas Kithier case, of course, as we know. Of course, keep an eye on the blog at Sammy_Termine@blogspot.com. The latest on the Kithier case, and also check back next week's podcast. We will talk more in depth about the Thomas Kithier case as we go forward along. I'm Sammy Termine here. I'm signing off here. Take care, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your week. Take care, and see you soon.
See you, Sam. Oaa Now is produced by Sammy Termine and Orion Neighborhood Television. The views on this program are his and his alone. If you'd like to produce your own podcast here at ONTV and on the local voice, give us a call at 248-393-1060. See ya.